Sometime before dawn, the United States crossed a line it spent years enforcing. Washington quietly approved AI chip sales to China, not because the threat disappeared, but because the money did. At the same time, across the Midwest, farmers were staring at a $12 billion bailout that doesn't replace a missing buyer. Their exports didn't come back, their costs didn't fall, their leverage vanished. This isn't coincidence, it's substitution. When AI money stopped stretching far enough at home, the United States went looking abroad. When farm demand collapsed, it hoped China would still show up. So now the same country holds both cards, the chips that power the future and the crops that keep farms alive. And the dangerous part isn't that China noticed, it's that the US needed this deal more than China did. The timing reflected pressure building across capital markets. Morgan Stanley warned earlier this fall that global data center investment tied to artificial intelligence could approach $3 trillion over the coming decade, with roughly half financed through borrowing rather than operating cash. That warning landed as sovereign debt issuance was already hitting records, creating a circular system in which future AI revenue justified present borrowing, and present borrowing propped up valuations that could not afford to stall. At the center of that loop sat Nvidia, no longer just a chip designer but the financial anchor of the AI ecosystem. Bloomberg reported in October that Nvidia's cash reserves had grown so large that the company now operates as an informal venture capital backstop, seeding firms like CoreWeave while maintaining strategic exposure to OpenAI and even legacy competitors. Those investments were not peripheral. Funded firms turned around and purchased Nvidia accelerators, reinforcing a self-feeding cycle that assumed demand would scale indefinitely. That assumption was already weakening. Western markets were nearing saturation faster than forecast. Even if United States and G7 hyperscalers built out every planned facility, there was a hard ceiling on how many advanced accelerators could be absorbed annually. Engineers cited by the Financial Times noted that high-performance AI chips face functional obsolescence within 2 to 5 years, creating replacement cycles, but not the continuous quarterly surge that early 2025 valuations implied. This mattered because Nvidia's stock price still reflected the growth dynamics of last year, when quarterly revenue expanded by triple digits as the chip war escalated and cloud providers scrambled to secure supply. But competitors did not pause. AMD's MI series and Intel's Gaudi roadmap began closing gaps, particularly in inference workloads, compressing margins at the edges of Nvidia's dominance. China remained the one market large enough to offset that pressure. Analysts at UBS estimated that China alone represented roughly a $50 billion annual opportunity for AI accelerators, with growth rates exceeding 40% if access restrictions eased. Compounded over several years, the cumulative demand approached $250 billion. Manufacturing does not wait. From electric vehicles to aerospace components, optimization now runs through AI compute. That pressure produced the reversal. Earlier this month, President Donald Trump confirmed that his administration approved sales of Nvidia's H200 accelerators to China under a tightly controlled licensing regime while keeping next-generation Blackwell systems restricted. Reuters reported that Trump raised the issue directly in a call with President Xi Jinping, presenting the move as economic pragmatism rather than strategic retreat. Beijing made no binding commitments to purchase. Then came the condition that unsettled Silicon Valley. According to Reuters, the arrangement includes a provisional revenue skim under which 25% of Nvidia's China-derived sales would be paid to the U.S. government. Officials describe the mechanism as time-limited and subject to periodic review alongside export licenses, not a permanent change to tax law, but its signal was unmistakable. Washington was monetizing access. The incentives warped quickly. A levy applied at the revenue level diverts capital away from research and deployment decisions that Nvidia historically executes faster than any public agency. At the same time, it grants China access to far more capable hardware, while domestic alternatives continue maturing. The H200 is not incremental. The earlier H20 variant approved for China peaked near an aggregate performance index of about 2,000. The H200 approaches 16,000, an 8-fold jump that materially changes which models can be trained domestically. It remains weaker than Blackwell, but the gap export controls were meant to preserve narrowed abruptly. Chinese firms moved accordingly. Huawei's Ascend line still trails Nvidia on efficiency, but clustering techniques already allow domestic chips to approximate US performance. With H200s added, developers can hybridize stacks, extracting near-term gains while continuing to harden local supply chains. Compute dominance accumulates. Estimates cited by the New York Times earlier this year placed China at roughly 2% of global AI compute capacity, compared with more than 70% controlled by the United States and its allies. Analysts tracking accelerator deployments describe two plausible paths: a conservative case where limited H200 access lifts China into the low teens, and a more aggressive licensing scenario combined with clustering that pushes toward 30% over several years. Efficiency does not exist in isolation. International Energy Agency data show industrial electricity costs in China remain 30 to 50% lower than in the United States, particularly in inland provinces where new data centers are expanding. Cheaper power compresses operating costs, narrowing effective performance gaps even when hardware lags. Beijing is managing the trade-off deliberately. Financial Times reporting this week indicated Chinese regulators are preparing internal rules to ration H200 access, preventing dependency while extracting near-term gains. Subsidies are under discussion to steer firms back toward domestic chips once workloads stabilize. The objective is acceleration without reliance. The strategic reality is simple. Short-term access buys long-term leverage. That same asymmetry is now visible in U.S. agriculture. While export licenses were being finalized, farmers were absorbing confirmation that a $12 billion emergency assistance package would begin dispersing within weeks. The U.S. Department of Agriculture framed the payments as a bridge to offset trade disruptions and rising costs. Farmers recognize the distinction. In 2022, U.S. soybean income exceeded $61 billion. USDA projections now place it near $43.5 billion, a collapse driven by lost export volumes and weaker prices. Brazil's cost of soybean production averaged about $476 per acre last year, compared with nearly $530 in the United States, according to official data, a gap that existed before tariffs escalated. Currency compounded the disadvantage. Since 2020, the Brazilian real has remained structurally weaker against the dollar, boosting exporters' local returns and enabling aggressive pricing into China. Argentina followed after cutting export taxes, booking large Chinese cargoes once destined for U.S. ports, Reuters reported in September. Input costs at home continued rising. Machinery, seed, and labor all climbed. Interest expense rose fastest. Federal Reserve data show farm interest costs up more than 70% since 2020, the sharpest increase among major categories. Even as inflation cooled, farm expenditures kept rising. Capital followed returns. High rates and clear AI tailwinds pulled investment toward technology, while farming carried headwinds. Lenders demanded premiums. Even if policy rates fall, risk spreads persist. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent argued publicly that renewed Chinese purchase commitments could restore certainty, citing frameworks involving at least 12.5 million metric tons of agricultural imports. He emphasized predictability over volume. Enforcement remains uncertain. China is sourcing soybeans from Brazil, Argentina, Russia, and expanding domestic supply. USDA data confirm China remains the world's largest food importer, but diversification is now policy. Commitments function as levers, easily adjusted if relations shift. Bankruptcy filings show the strain. Farm bankruptcies rose through the first half of the year, with more than 180 operations closing. Many will not return. The $12 billion package slows the bleed but does not reverse it. USDA projections indicate that if current export patterns persist, more than 5 million U.S. soybean acres could exit production by the end of the decade, land that does not re-enter quickly, even if buyers return. AI chips and soybeans now occupy the same negotiating space. China can delay farm purchases without destabilizing domestic supply. It can accept U.S. accelerators while accelerating replacements. The United States is trading access for time, funding two sectors while leverage migrates outward. Inside Washington, the approval of H200 exports triggered a second, quieter scramble that never reached press briefings. Commerce Department officials began drafting contingency language for emergency revocation clauses, according to people familiar with the process, acknowledging internally that once Chinese firms integrate Nvidia architectures into production pipelines, unwinding access becomes exponentially harder. Software lock-in, not hardware scarcity, becomes the binding constraint. That concern is sharpened by open source dynamics. Research cited by the Financial Times shows that Chinese AI labs are increasingly publishing optimized training frameworks that reduce reliance on brute force compute. When paired with mid-tier accelerators like the H200, those software efficiencies can erase large portions of the hardware gap. The effect compounds globally, because open source tools migrate faster than export controls can adapt, allowing third-country developers to benefit indirectly from Chinese optimization breakthroughs. Meanwhile, Nvidia's own financial exposure is tightening. Wall Street analysts quoted by Bloomberg estimate that China-linked revenue could account for more than 20% of Nvidia's data center sales under expanded licensing, but margins on those sales are structurally lower due to compliance costs, export friction, and the provisional revenue skim. That combination means higher headline revenue paired with thinner profit contribution, a trade-off investors have historically punished once growth normalizes. On Capitol Hill, unease is spreading beyond technology committees. Agricultural state lawmakers are privately warning that tying farm stability to Chinese purchasing behavior creates a feedback loop where trade concessions become politically unavoidable. Internal USDA models reviewed by Reuters suggest that even a partial shortfall in expected Chinese soybean purchases could overwhelm existing aid programs within 2 seasons, forcing either repeated bailouts or permanent acreage contraction. That contraction has second-order effects. Land values underpin rural credit. As acreage exits production, collateral values weaken, raising borrowing costs further and accelerating consolidation. Regional banks with heavy agricultural exposure are already tightening lending standards, according to Federal Reserve District surveys released this quarter. China, by contrast, absorbs volatility differently. State-owned banks extend long-duration credit to priority sectors, including food security and advanced manufacturing, insulating producers from short-term price shocks. That insulation allows Beijing to treat both soybeans and semiconductors as strategic variables rather than market dependencies. What makes this moment unstable is synchronization. AI compute, farm exports, federal deficits, and geopolitical leverage are now moving in the same direction at once. There is no buffer sector offsetting the risk. If Chinese regulators slow H200 uptake, Nvidia faces a valuation reset. If they accelerate it, US strategic advantage erodes faster. If farm purchases stall, bailouts expand. If they resume, dependency deepens. None of those paths restore leverage. They only redistribute pressure. And pressure, once transferred across systems this tightly linked, rarely stays contained. Data centers light up in inland China. Midwest farms refinance another season on thinner margins. Revenue flows back to Washington as strategic advantage diffuses quietly. What remains unresolved is how much leverage can be exchanged before access stops looking like control. We're glad you're enjoying this video. Please like and subscribe. Check out another video that is now on your screen.